What's good, everybody? It's your boy Philan Speaks back, man, for some more coffee and some more sports. And I found that these are two things that go together like ice cream and wafers, like waffles and jelly and chicken for those down south, and like sneakers and socks. Anyway, my Philadelphia Eagles are done for now. Okay, they done cleaned out the locker rooms. Players done went home. Parade done with, over with. If you didn't catch my recap of the parade, check out what we did yesterday. Check it out. You know, not enough views, man. Not enough right now, but I'm grateful for whatever. You understand what I'm saying? So, but at any rate, we have sports news, new news. And this is what we're here to do, cover sports news, man. And we had the last night, the NBA All-Star Weekend, which I did not watch. Debating over whether I will watch the All-Star Game. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. 50-50. Really more like probably 70-30 that I won't. I'm waiting for them to show me something, give me a reason to watch. You see, because for me, sports is about competition. And competition only happens when you have two sides who give a damn. And when I recognize there's no give a damn, I tend to not care and I don't really want to watch. So it's a good chance I probably won't. I have better things to do with my time than to watch. I don't watch these people because they're celebrities. I watch them because they're competitors. It's the competition that does it for me. Which is why, like I've predicted, that there's a good chance that competition junkies like myself, competition junkies, may start moving towards the women's game more so than the men's game. If the men's game continues this route of not doing all they can to make sure that their players, that their teams are putting forth the best effort in the area of competition. Okay? Because I think a lot of guys haven't really thought about why they like sports in the first place. What makes sports work? You see, they ask these questions about, is it scoring that does it? Is it defense, that gains people's interest? Because that is a school of thought out there that it's about the more points that you score, the better the game is. You'll hear people say that. You have others on the other end, minority, who believe it's about defense. Okay? Both, I think, have missed the mark. The truth is, what men crave and what men love is competition. It's in our nature, most of our natures, at any rate. You see, it's the competition. It's the human being put in the fire, having to dig deep to find that strength within to overcome an opponent. It's just old as Dante's Inferno and stories like that. So there we have that. That's their problem to figure out. At any rate, what we have right now in the news, and this is something that I'll be spending more attention on since I said my Eagles are done. So now I got more time for this. And so I go searching, the women's game because right now you have the Unrivaled League going on. And what's been happening over the last week is the one-on-one games. Shout out to Nafisa Collier for winning that competition, being awarded, I believe, is $200,000 for her efforts and her excellence. Shout out to her for that. This caused me to run into some information and some things here. And one of the things I ran into was what's happening right now with A'ja Wilson. For those who may not know, A'ja Wilson is the star basketball player for the WNBA's Las Vegas Aces. And what's happening with her right now is the release of a shoe that she has. Okay, these are A'ja. I think they call A'ja ones, if I'm not mistaken. And as you see, man, they have a nice design. This Nike shoe. I think this is a great looking shoe, man. I like the design. I like the color, a mixture, pink. So obviously it's it's a woman's shoe. And it's showing here as Nike shows all the different aspects of the shoe and the layout, man. Overall, it's a great shoe. I wish her well, and I hope it sells. It should sell, because it's a great shoe, in my opinion. What should be seen and highlighted as a great thing, though, which is the shoe. The shoe is right now, for some reason, being the subject of content creators on the internet. And I'm not talking about good content creation. What I'm talking about is what I consider garbage content creation. I saw a guy with Australian accent or something of that nature, who reports on WNBA and women's game and other stuff. All I've ever seen was his women's game stuff, and somehow he turns this into a Caitlin Clark deal. Somehow it's a Caitlin Clark deal. And then I see another guy, okay, the liquidation or something like that, or whatever, right? Who does a similar thing? Somehow A'ja Wilson getting a new shoe turns into a Caitlin Clark thing. And I think what bothers me more than anything isn't so much the guy doing the content creation. Like, as a content creator, I completely understand the mindset of the content creator. Make no mistake. Most content creators, I would say 98% of the content creators, are simply making content because they believe the content they're making will get them views, will get them likes, will get them viral status, and thus, a few dollars in their account, in their YouTube account, as YouTube partners. This is the mindset of content creators. So from one standpoint, I understand that. Now, I do disagree with these guys. I understand them, but I disagree with them from a moral standpoint. I believe that every person who has who's in a position where they can potentially influence people, and that's what they call us now, influencers, that could potentially influence people, have a moral responsibility to not only relay information, but to relay sound information, authentic information, information that is backed by fact, and that is reflective of fact, and not information that is in reality fiction and in reality made up, or in reality stretches or exaggeration. Because when you take and you place fiction and you call it fact and you put it in this particular space, which is the real world, you can get you can garner undesirable results. Okay. And the undesirable result is best reflected in the comment section under some of these videos. And I debated over whether or not I would take and show you all the comment section. But I'm sure some of you can imagine, if you've been following what's been happening ever since Caitlin Clark has come into the WNBA. Right. My channel, I used to deal with them all the time. I promised myself that what I would do is change not what my message is, but change the way I deliver the message. My instinct is to, when I'm confronting people that I believe are insincere and are full of it, full of that stuff that comes out of the anus after you eat, my instinct is to want to go at them hard, verbally. And then if I saw them in person, it could be whatever as well, right? That's my instinct. That's just, I guess the way I am, right? But I made a promise to myself, like some of you call this a New Year's resolution, that I would follow the way of the old sages and prophets and people like that I admire, and try to follow their methodology, which is to call to the higher aspects of the human being. And that's what I'm trying to do. So this is why I'm nice and calm right now. And I'm not spazzing out like I've probably been known to spaz out in the past. Okay, so we're going to try to be understanding now, just for those who need to be kind of caught up to speed with what's going on or what the narratives are. We're going to go back a little bit, okay? And it all kind of goes back to A'ja Wilson, okay? Around the time when Caitlin Clark was drafted by the Indiana Fever of the WNBA, okay? And Caitlin Clark, when drafted to the WNBA, was given a Nike contract in the upwards in the area to close to $30 million contract before ever dribbling a basketball in the WNBA. Most of what she earned was based off of her excellent college career, and it was a good college career. Okay, to me, I wouldn't say supremely excellent college career because of the standards that I hold. For me, an excellent college career must include at least one championship victory, one national championship. A good college career can be a person who, scored a lot of points, got a lot of rebounds, won a lot of awards, defensive player of the year, offensive player of the year, so on. These are good, and they can be considered great personal achievements. But since you're in a sport that is a team sport, I judge team success, okay, and those types of things, okay. But based on that, Caitlin Clark was given this, and I put out a video about this when it happened, and I'm going to rehash what I said and the way I understand these issues, and hopefully those who are open-minded and are able to listen, but listen with their actual ears and with their ears free of preconceived notions about what you think I'm saying based on either my skin color or based on what I've said in the past or anything of this nature, right? Okay, so first we're going to go to the facts, okay? Caitlin Clark is given a contract by Nike, which includes a shoe deal, okay? A'ja Wilson at the time, okay, it is little known, actually was with Nike at the time as well, okay, prior to the Caitlin Clark thing. And she was going to have a shoe prior. This was known. This was a known thing. What's happening now, though, is that A'ja Wilson is under attack by certain content creators and certain foolish people in the comment section who are unfair or looking at judging her based off preconceived notions that they have anyway that are false, are acting as if A'ja Wilson knew she had a deal, right? This is what they're putting out there. That A'ja knew she had a deal, but complained when Caitlin got a deal. The whole time knowing she had a deal that's only being revealed now. And therefore, they taking this as saying that she's some sort of a bad person or some sort of a hypocrite or something like that. And then the other allegation is that A'ja Wilson is sending a mob of angry people at Caitlin Clark. Okay. All of which we were going to examine right now. First of all, let's go back to what happened. Caitlin Clark gets a deal. And in a quick overview, okay, A'ja Wilson is asked about Caitlin Clark's deal and about Caitlin Clark in general, coming to the W, all of that kind of stuff, right? Okay. The comments that A'ja Wilson makes become viral, okay, because she mentioned a word or mentioned a concept that a good portion of our society has a problem with, and this is white people, Caucasians in America, about the word white privilege was there, okay? And basically what she said was she can't stand when people pretend as if white privilege or being white or a person's race doesn't have a bearing on how marketable they are in the eyes of big companies. It's pretty much what she said. And this caused a big problem and a big stir for people who I think don't really listen well. And people who were brought up to automatically hate certain words and certain rhetoric. Okay. This is what I suspect happens here. All right, so what did she actually say? They said A'ja Wilson was sitting courtside with her teammate Kelsey Plum. At the time, Kelsey Plum, okay, who is a white star in the WNBA. When she discussed how white privilege helped players like Plum and Beckers, and Paige Beckers. Okay, Paige Beckers, for those who don't know, is a college star for UConn right now, who's slated to go number 1 in the draft. Similar to how Caitlin Clark went number 1 last year. Okay. Actually, for those who follow the history, know Paige Beckers was initially ahead of Caitlin Clark in terms of popularity and in people's eyes, greatness of a player. Paige Beckers, however, makes a statement on I believe it was the ESPY Awards, where she praised Black women players for like a lot of her success, okay, because these were players she looked up to and so on. Now, this caused a whole rage storm, and now all of a sudden, people now don't like Paige Beckers. Her popularity drops as a result of her just saying that. This is despite the fact that if anyone was to ask who were the greatest players of all time and so on, there is no way you can mention 3 to 5 names without mentioning 3 or 4 of them that were Black players. The first GOAT in women's sports would clearly be either Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper. These were the 2 stars of the Houston Comets who won the first 4 championships in WNBA history. They won the first 4. Okay. Now we know of Rebecca Lobos, and we know about other great players who weren't Black and so on. But the point I'm making is, how do you grow up as a little girl playing basketball and understanding the history of the game? Because that's typically what happens when you're young. You learn to love the game by watching it, and you look up to those players before you. How do you not in your mind pay homage to those girls or pay to those women? Or what are you all expecting? Those who have a problem with these statements, what are they supposed to not see the color of the person and pretend like that's not there? Is that how you operate? Or is that how, something you just use in order to deal with your own psychoses that is present? Like, how does that work? All right. So, and then beyond all of that, why would anyone have a problem with someone saying that? Why would you have a problem with that? This is the question. But at any rate, many of these people took it as some sort of a idea of A'ja Wilson attacking Caitlin Clark, which we're going to talk about in a minute, because that's the other thing you got to look at right now. What's happening is, and this is being pushed by a number of people, not just white people, even some Black people, right? Because some Black people are Jason Whitlock types and so on. We're not going to go into that. That's a completely different subject. But he's pushing the narrative of A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark being rivals of some sort. And that's something we definitely have to analyze and make clear the reality of that. So anyway, Wilson says she understands her privilege is what pushes her over the top in a sense. It reminds me a lot of you. Okay? These are her quotes. Let's talk about for a second the whole idea of, or let's talk about the market in general and marketability. I think this is the first thing we have to make clear here. Whether you're talking about Nike, whether you're talking about Adidas, whether you're talking about Reebok, or whatever company that's marketing something, a product, Gatorade, whatever. When we talk about marketability is a real thing. Let me just give you an example that I think we can kind of all relate to. The NBA as a whole, National Basketball Association as a whole, typically markets their game in a way. That's all part of business, okay? So what they have is this concept of a player that is the face of the league, a player or players. Okay, it could be one player, it could be more than one player, but a face of the league. And typically the face of the league is the guy that they put in the they put him in the captain spot to kind of steer the ship where the game goes. There's more pressure on this person. Of course, he'll get more money and exposure, then there's more pressure on him. Okay. Now, The NBA now, as we know, has a large portion of players, of course, that are from America and then overseas players. There's players in the United States from South America. There's players from Europe. There's players from Africa. There's players from Asia, all over the place. Okay? But when they market the game, who has been the faces of the league? I'll give you an example. Right now, the face of the NBA is LeBron James. Prior to LeBron James, one could point to perhaps Kobe Bryant, perhaps Shaquille O'Neal. But without a doubt, before them, it was absolutely unquestionably Michael Jordan was the face of the league. Before Michael Jordan, one could look at guys like Larry Bird. One could look at guys like Magic Johnson. Prior to Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, it was Julius Erving. These are the faces of the league. Okay? These are the guys that the NBA put forth the center as the most excellent of what they have, okay, to offer as a product. Okay, this is marketing. What goes into the marketing? And what do these guys I've all mentioned have in common? Are they necessarily the best players in the league? Some may say. But the question is, who's the best player in the league now? Is it a guy named Nikola Jokic? I think you would think, because he gets pretty much all the MVPs. I think he got, 3 of the last 4 MVPs, something ridiculous like that, right? Which is the most valuable player. But there's a discussion of who's the face of the league. Is it? Point is, you'll notice that the thing that all the guys that I mentioned who faces of the league have in common is that they're American players. They're American born. So it's obvious that the NBA, when selecting the face of the league and marketing their game, they not only factor in just the excellence of the player, the skills of the player, but they also factor in the nationality of the player. Why? Because the NBA is pushing itself as an American sport. Even though they're trying to go global, they're still putting a bit of pride into the idea that it's an American sport. So ideally, they're looking for an American player, which means that something that is what you will call just incidental about you puts you in a better position to be selected as the face over someone who doesn't have that. You understand, right? So in a sense, this is a type of privilege that an American have. You can call it American privilege. Personally, I've experienced American privilege when I went overseas at times. I lived in a foreign country for a 3-year period, a North African country, right? And while there, working for a job, trying to get a job, I was up against people who were from that actual country who may have had way more experience. They went to school, got degrees, learned English, all these types of things, teaching experience, so on. Me, I'm just from America. That's it. So I naturally speak English. Even in America, the way we study English is not, I would say, it's not even as thorough as the way it's taught in other places because it's natural to us. So we don't spend as much time, say, on grammar as other places. And I'm not trying to go. The point is, I was offered jobs and more money than people who could technically be more qualified. Okay? Why? Because I'm American. That's an American type of privilege. If I, in a different country, say, committed some type of infraction or something like that, it's known that the government over there would show me as an American a certain degree of mercy or clemency that they might not show someone that's from Nigeria or someone that is from another place. That's a type of privilege. Okay? So I just want to make this clear so we don't act like you never understand privilege, because some people act like they don't get, what that is. Okay. So just in case you sincerely don't understand, I'm trying to give you some examples. All right. When A'ja Wilson said concerning Caitlin Clark that, of course, her race gives her a degree of privilege, she's speaking about things that she's witnessed. Let's look at this, for example. Forget Caitlin Clark. Let's take Kelsey Plum, for example, who was her teammate. And they both together won two national championships. Two WNBA championships. I just recently looked it up. Who actually made more money when it comes to marketing? Not WNBA contract, but marketing. Don't you know Kelsey Plum was one of the most, she's making some of the most money in the whole league in endorsements, while being probably the third or fourth best player on the freaking team. Okay. A'ja Wilson, by far, not only is the best person on the team, best player on the team, she's the best player in the WNBA by consensus. Okay. She was last year's MVP. She was Defensive Player of the Year 2 or 3 times, 2 championships. They kind of depend on her to win. When she doesn't play, they lose. When she plays, they win. She was the best player on the USA freaking team that went out there and won the gold medal. Okay? But she's making less money in endorsements than Kelsey Plum, who's the 4th best player on her team. Now, why is that? And listen, I'm not saying that it's I'm not one of these people yelling, oh, it's just racism or anything like that. No, it's okay, Nike, Reebok, and all these places, right? They're trying to sell sneakers. This is the thing. They believe that Kelsey Plum will sell more than A'ja Wilson. That's why they're doing it. Like Nike, I don't believe Nike cares who it is or anything like that. They don't have an agenda like that. Because Nike paid for Michael Jordan. So I don't think they care. I think they believe that you Americans will buy a product that's pushed by a white person over that of a black person. And it's for a number of reasons. It could be racism. Maybe it isn't. It could be because white Americans make up 68% of the population and they're looking at numbers. It could be that. I don't care what the reason is. The point is, it's a fact that these companies they're shelling out deals, especially in WNBA, to players who are lesser than other players for reasons other than just basketball talent and skill. Okay? There's other types of privilege that go as well. And there's other things that when we're talking about marketability that they look at. Like, for example, a person that is seen as more handsome than someone else, right? You can have 2 basketball players. One player could be the greatest player you've seen. Another player may not just be maybe a more handsome player, but not as good as a player. You don't think they factor that in? You don't think they factor in body image? If you have a type of body that they think is attractive versus someone else? All of these things factor into marketability. All of these things. Okay? So this is what we want to say just to kind of lay the groundwork for this here. Why was there all this backlash for what A'ja Wilson said when I think we all know what's going on, okay? Now, let's go to the second part of this here, okay? And this madness, in my opinion, of trying to prop Caitlin Clark up as A'ja Wilson's rival of some sort. This started last season, actually, okay? And when Caitlin Clark comes into the league, okay, obviously her first initial natural rival, I'm not talking about necessarily on the basketball court, stylisticness or anything like that, but her natural rival was obviously A'ja Reese. Okay, now you can scoff at that or be real about it if you want, but it's the reality. Okay, forget about people talking about whether they play alike, whether they play the same position, whether that doesn't matter. The point is, her rival for where she is as a first year player rookie was A'ja Reese, because that was the player who was rivaling her for rookie of the year. Okay, she's the only other player to win rookie of the month at times, and it was a back and forth thing. It was actually an argument. When the two teams played, that is the Indiana Fever versus the Chicago Sky, they were garnering bigger ratings than other great teams, like, say, when New York played the Aces, or when Minnesota would play Connecticut or something like that. But no, people were coming out to see A'ja Reese's team play Caitlin Clark's team. So that was their natural rival, okay, pretty much all season. Now, what happened is it got to a certain point when it was clear that Caitlin Clark was going to win Rookie of the Year, which really happened after A'ja Reese went out with an injury, suffered an injury. So now her fanatical fans were trying to argue, oh, no, she's just far and above that and any other rookie and so on, based on, finally getting to 20 points on very inefficient shooting and so on. But whatever. They tried to now argue that she should be most valuable player, and we all knew that was BS. Why? You look at A'ja Wilson's numbers. They were dominant numbers, almost 30 points a game. She was leading the league in scoring by far. She averaged over 7 more points than Caitlin Clark throughout the season per game, which is astonishing, much more. She was second in rebounding, only to A'ja Reese, and I think she ended up passing her when she got hurt. She was a top 3 defensive player in the league, who was already a 2-time defensive player of the year already. Rim protector, the whole 9. A complete basketball player, improved shooting, improved 3-point shooting, can score in the post, dominant mid-range player. It's not even freaking close. Caitlin Clark fans, what are they talking about? They're talking about how many people go to see Caitlin Clark. They're talking about how many seats are filled in arenas for Caitlin Clark. They're talking about assists, passes to teammates, and that because she does assists, this makes her better than her. When this has never been the case. Nobody has ever said Jason Kidd is better than Shaquille O'Neal. Nobody's ever said that in the history of basketball. Nobody considered Oscar Robertson to be better than Wilt Chamberlain. Never happened. Okay, but these are the arguments that these people were offering, to try to prop Caitlin Clark as some rival to A'ja Wilson. This is despite the fact that the two teams, Caitlin Clark's team and A'ja Wilson teams, faced each other 4 times, and A'ja Wilson team won all 4 in pretty much like easy fashion. A'ja Wilson dominated in every game. Caitlin Clark half the time couldn't even outplay Kelsey Plum in his games. Okay, as I saw all of them. Right? These are the facts. But they're still trying to prop it up and making up these arguments that have never been seen before in the history of the game. That assists make you a better player than just someone who has pure dominance on both sides of the floor. Unbelievable. This argument that, and this isn't a Caitlin Clark thing because, I think Caitlin Clark is a good player. with the opportunity to be a great player, but she was a rookie player, a rookie who you need to let be a rookie. Let her learn. Let her improve her game. Let her get a mid-range game. Let her improve her defense before we start comparing her to A'ja Wilson's. Right now, the reality is Caitlin Clark's rivals, besides Angel Reese, are people like DJ Carrington. When Paige Beckers comes, it'll probably be Paige Beckers, and other guards of that nature. Okay, those are her rivals right now, and really, it is Angel Reese, honestly, because as long as people are putting the money into that, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no knock on that. It's similar to Michael Jordan in 1984 when Michael Jordan came into the league. Some people argue he was the best player in the league. He was not the best player in the league in 1984. The best player in the league in 1984 was Magic Johnson, followed closely by Larry Bird. These were the guys that were on the championship teams. These are the guys that were winning. These are the guys that were relevant. Michael Jordan's rival in his early years was Dominique Wilkins. Okay? When Michael Jordan played against the Celtics, he was getting blown out. When the Bulls played against the Lakers, they were getting blown out. The real games that where they were really getting it in, that were really competitive, because remember, it's all about competition, was Atlanta Hawks versus the Chicago Bulls. Anyone who lived back then and lived through it, who was a little kid that really imitated those guys, and like me, when I was in sixth grade, we used to debate who's better between Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan. That's what the debate was. Okay? And I'm not saying Caitlin and Michael, but I'm just trying to give you an understanding of what a real rival is. A rival isn't someone that's whipping your ass every time you play them. A rival isn't someone that's more impactful in the game than you. A rival is someone, we're really going at it. This is something everybody's tuning in to watch. That's the real rival. Caitlin Clark's rival right now, Angel Reese. People like DJ Carrington and others of that nature. Maybe we can go Sabrina Ionescu will be a rival for her. Okay? Once Indiana gets to the level of New York, which they may be this year. Indiana Fever are making a lot of great moves this year. And if they can improve their defense, they will be a competitive game. They made a lot of moves taking some of the players from the Aces. And right now what they're doing is there's this smear campaign against A'ja Wilson that all these players are leaving because of A'ja, which is stupid, ridiculous, untrue, and silly. Okay? The starters are still there with the exception of a couple moves the Aces made to improve. The Aces, they're putting it out there like Kelsey Plum left because of A'ja Wilson. No. Kelsey Plum was traded for a better player, Jewel Lloyd, who was going to improve that team. As far as the other player that left, that's a backup player that was borderline they weren't going to keep. You're talking about the other Alicia Clark leaving. If anyone follows the WNBA, you know that there's a lot of turnover every year like this. This is nothing new. But when you have people that are dishonest and they're just searching for narratives and just want to gain a whole bunch of followers and all of this stuff, this is what they do. They put out nonsense. And this is what's happening. Mickey Fax and John the Liquidator and all of these guys. Yeah, it's full-ass speech, boy. I call people out. Why? Because I can do that. Yeah, I'm that dude that can do that. Yeah. So that's what's happening. Right? And I can't wait to start dealing with this stuff, man. Because this stuff is fun. This is the part of this job that's fun. And this ain't a job, but this work, that's fun. It's getting at you. Now, as far as A'ja's shoe, I think it's a nice shoe. I wouldn't be surprised if my daughters bought the shoe. Because it's a nice shoe. Very pink though. So Men, unless you one of those men, you're not gonna wear those. But for women, it's a nice shoe, well deserved. You're talking about a player that puts it all on the line, both sides. And then, real briefly, too, um, none of this is a personal thing against Caitlin Clark at all. Caitlin Clark is not what y'all think. And this is how you know you're dealing with not like real fans, but you're dealing with fanatics, right? Um, which of course is short for fan. I know that, but we're talking about fanatics. Is they're the type of people in denial. They're still trying to act as if Caitlyn is one of them when she's not. She's not. She's not your MAGA people. She's not. Y'all want her to be that, but this MAGA athlete that you want doesn't exist. It's not Paige. That disappointed you. And then when Caitlyn went up there and did the same damn thing and gave props to black women players, like who she said her favorite player all time was Maya Moore, which is a hell of a selection because that was a hell of a player. Y'all still up here acting like she's being bullied and all of this kind of stuff. How's she being bullied when she follows their same culture? She grew up in AAU culture in whatever it produces. She grew up in that culture. She relates to all of those players, black, white, or whatever, more than she relates to you. And the sooner you understand that, the better off you are. She don't relate to you just because she's from the cornfields in Iowa. She was an athlete. That was privileged her whole life. Athlete privilege. She ain't been paying for food in restaurants for a long time. And these are the things we all come to recognize. I got to recognize that my favorite basketball players in the men's side, they ain't like me. These guys, man, be going around being pampered and being given free stuff and being told they're the greatest and believing within themselves that they're superhuman compared to you for their whole life. You think Caitlin Clark thinks she relates to you? You know what? I'm gonna let you go ahead with that, right? Because this life has a way of like humbling people like you, like y'all, And Caitlin Clark actually earned my respect, for real. Because early on I was kind of wondering about her when she was like acting like she couldn't deal with the physicality of the game and all of that. But no, she persevered. She went through when she got herself a little rest at the Olympics and came back, on a tear. Earned my respect in a lot of ways. Earned my respect, man. And hopefully, she'll continue to improve. And we're going to cover Indiana Fever games, just like we're going to cover Chicago Sky games and other games like that. Some of y'all make it hard to cover Indiana Fever games because y'all such glazers who all of a sudden you're talking all that crap about DeWanna Bonner last year. Now all of a sudden, oh yeah, you're so happy she's on your team, right? Remember all that crap y'all talking about her and Alyssa Thomas and all them? And now all of a sudden, y'all, oh man, we got her. We about to do this and do that. Either you're going to be true to your principles of a MAGA man, or you're going to be just what you are, a fraud. Because that's what most of y'all are. You're frauds. Okay? Keeping it a bean. Keeping it a bean. Because that's what we do around here. So in summary, man. These guys out here putting out this nonsense, narratives, not based in fact, are disgusting. Are less than men because all they out here to do is get likes, clicks, more subscribers because they know that they're dealing with a group of unique fanatics who don't really care about the truth, who like to run with nonsense, who act like a mob, and it's all in their head because Caitlin Clark don't represent what you're trying to push. Y'all ain't acting like y'all like Kate Martin, and you know Kate Martin's lifestyle, right? Y'all do know that, right? Y'all know that Kaden Clark is the best friend of somebody who has a lifestyle that's against everything y'all supposedly about. Really, frauds? Really? Can't respect it, dog. Can't respect it. But that's all I got, man. So remember, don't be a fraud. Be true to yourself. And God bless you. Peace out.